Sounds like I got a noise coming from the supercharger though, so I gotta see how that thing works. What is up everyone, Scotty Hopp here. Today we're going to be working on the Jaguar. Like I said in the last video, we're going to be taking off the supercharger. We're trying to accomplish two things here. One, check the status of the supercharger system because it makes some weird noises. I think like one of the bearings are bad in it. So we're going to take a look at that. And then the main thing that we're also going to be doing is looking at this fuel injector back here and testing it. You can see the weird wiring back in there, and that's the cylinder that's giving us our misfire issues. So we got to take off these intercoolers to get to the fuel rail, which has the fuel injectors on it, because you can kind of see them underneath there, which we can't get to. So I'm going to be following along this forum post on jaghelp.com. I'll put the link to this in the description. It's basically a write-up on how to take out your supercharger on your S-Type R and also the intercoolers. So we're going to have to do that to get to the fuel injectors. The first step is to remove the wiper cowl, and then now all we have to do is remove this strut bar and then this intake boot. So let's get started on that. Alright, we got the air intake box out, little elbow and the strut bar. Now there's another hose clamp behind there to get this intake out, so let's do that. Here's the intake boot. You can tell they had like some heating issues because they like slapped this heat wrap thing right there, but I need to plug up the intake, make sure no crap gets in there, and we keep going deeper. These parts too, I want to make look pretty again, so this will probably be painted. I read on the forums that a lot of people upgrade those with the Range Rover intake, but we're just trying to get it running first before we do any mods like that supercharger pulley right there. So let's keep going. The directions, next we have to remove this expansion tank and this front cover as well. So looks like it's just two hoses right here. I took pictures of where the hoses were beforehand, just like being oversensitive with this project, just so we can put it back together. Because like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but we're trying to do everything above average and do a good job still. So that'll all be looking new. Be cleaning up in here as we go too. So yeah, this video is going to be kind of boring. It's more informative, trying out a new way to do this. So let's get at it. Alright, we removed the cooled expansion tank. Make sure to take pictures where you're removing the hoses and everything, so when you put it back together it's going to be a lot easier. That was kind of a pain in the butt. The hardest part was getting the bottom of the expansion tank off. It's like a little metal clip. Okay, to take off this thermostat housing, got to remove all the hoses obviously, and then take off the bolts, which I'm trying to find. Now we got to take off that big hose. There's 4 hoses and then 4 bolts. See one back in there. I don't even know how we're going to get to that, but we're figuring it out. Alright, finally got that thermostat housing off. There's the thermostat right there. This was such a pain in the butt. Oh my gosh. So there's those 2 bolts right there. And what they are they're these T30 bolts. But these are so old and they use like the lock C's on them, which is a pain in the butt because one snapped off in here. See right there? And then also the temperature sensor was so old, it basically exploded inside of here. Where is it at? But you can see right there, look at that. The connection's all messed up. So we're gonna have to clean that up. Look at that. Put like no force and it just snapped in half in there. So we're gonna have to take that out, get a new one of those, probably get a new thermostat just to be safe. And it's gonna be hard putting all these hoses back together. I mean, I took pictures of everything, but it's still pretty overwhelming. There's the supercharger right there though. So let's see what's next on the list. Yeah, that was actually a big pain in the butt. You have to use a T30, one of these. Make sure you get a super durable one because I broke one. Yeah, that was a pain in the butt. You have to like blindly get these bottom ones out, and yeah, I did not have fun doing that. So on to the next step. Okay, I just took off the cover for the supercharger. It's held on by 4 bolts. I go to the intercoolers, 2, and then 2, then a hose in the back. One thing that's like really irking me is these bolts. Like they're so old or something. Like that one literally broke in there with my freaking hand. Like I'm not even that strong. Like my arms aren't very big, but I broke one in there with just my hand. Took like no force either. So it's not that big a deal because we'll just like use a drill and drill it out and bring it all out, but still, like, I don't know. I need to look at the Carfax on this thing because it says it has a whole bunch of service records, and like you can tell someone's been in here because of like the hoses are all cut weird and stuff like that. So now we have to loosen up the supercharger pulley, and then we're almost there to bring the supercharger out. Probably going to call it a night right here, and then get back at it tomorrow. I use the supercharger belt tensioner to get the supercharger belt off. And look at this. I think there's like a bearing inside of there, and it's got to be broken because look, this is moving a little bit, but they're not moving very much in there. And that's where the noise is coming from too. So can't wait to get it off and look at it some more. Hoping to rebuild the whole supercharger once we get it out. Depending on the condition, I might have to buy another used one, but we'll see. All right, we got the last update for the supercharger removal, and look at that, it's out. I'm gonna show you guys how we did it. This was a pain in the butt. It took me like 2.5 days, but I only did a couple hours each day. I mean, you could do it all in one day, but look at that, there's the supercharger. The plate is pretty bad. If you listen closely, pretty loose. I think the coupler in there is bad, like I originally thought, and then just needs to be cleaned. I'm gonna take it all apart on the next video and replace all the bearings and everything else, so it'll be pretty much brand new. But that's why it sounded like marbles. To take it out, what I did was first remove the throttle body, which was back here. It's just connected with 4 little bolts, and then the connector right on the throttle body, those 2 little hoses. Jaguar says to remove the EGR valve, which is like 500 bucks used, and then I also read on a comment that it's possible to take it out without it, like we did here. It was super hard. I needed a buddy to help me because that bolt right back there is a total pain to get to. So what I did was take a screwdriver, wedge this up, and then I got like a little 1/4 inch ratchet with a swivel adapter on it, which helped out a ton because I did not want to take that off because everything's all rusted together and it's super expensive if it breaks. Then to remove the actual supercharger itself, first take out the 4 bolts from the rear, and then the 2 up here, and there should be 2 in the back. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. See, look, there's them right there. Then the couple in the back, and that's the one that's a pain in the butt. When we put it back in, we're actually going to slot this so it just slides back in. But there's the supercharger. Super dirty in here, so I'm going to clean everything up, of course, paint some stuff, place a bunch of hoses, and hopefully we can get this put back together. But we got the supercharger out. I mean, there it is right there. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I mean, I'm trying to show you guys the best that I can because there's only a few videos on YouTube on how to do this. So if you like what you saw, yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm almost at 500 subscribers, and I appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next video where we start to take this apart. Peace.